Hey, Jay Carey. All right. Well, let's see where the night brings us here. Just about Jay Carey's lurking. Phrasing. All right. Let's get this up. That's up. Pop a link. As I know Miss Tina probably got something she wants to talk to me about, which is fine. Absolutely fine. I have sort of eaten. Nothing wrong with that, Jay Carey. Eating it now. Well, curious where Red Hot Reefin is what is the name of the stream. See where we go tonight. See what we get on about. Try to keep it topical anyway. It was all right. It was a little too freestyle there for a bit, but I got it covered for the most part. Michael is denying people over what? Explain, Bubba. Explain. Warning. Hey, Chris Jate. Hey, Vicky. I just heard the wife say an FFS. So give me a moment here. My wife blaming me for the fact that she started the went wild earlier. All right, so never is. She started the washer, the water wasn't hooked up, and I'm getting blamed because I made coffee. I don't see how that's my fault. How is he? Well, it's nice of him. I appreciate that. I appreciate that too, Vicky. I don't know if I deserve it. I deserve a lot of things, but I don't know if I deserve that. Uh, so I'm going to keep it simple tonight. I was going to stream up my phone, and I went, my poor phone takes a shit ton of abuse. Are we showing that camera? Yeah, that's pretty much it. No, not this time. Yeah, I'm actually laughing at myself and trying to figure out if I took my pills this morning. I took them this evening, and I noticed they weren't in the position I normally would put them in, so it was kind of funny. Not a big deal. I'm generally a yes dear kind of person. Generally speaking. You'd think so. If you say so, Tony. Yeah. No, I think it's funny that I get told to go stream, blah, 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 and then it's a thing. I love women, but confused I be, sir. Okay, well, Chris G, how it's really kind of going to drop? Okay, that was lame. I'm feeling dorky, so it's going to be kind of weird the way I say things anyway, but the basis is the same. So once you're cycled, you're going to go through something called a diatom. It may be mild, it may be severe, okay? When you start to see this brown diatom algae, all right, it's going to look like a fuzzy brown stuff in your sand, could be on your rock. If you keep your light off, and I mean off, don't turn it on, don't be sucked into turning it on, then you add your cleanup crew. Once you've added your cleanup crew, give them a couple of days, then you can start turning your lights on. So like one of the little milestones. Another one that you'll see at some point is, and a sign that your tank's starting to come into maturity, is pineapple sponge. Anyway, now she's getting me coffee. Remember when I said about being confused? There you go. I'm confused. But I spend my life in perpetual confusion, so. One of my favorite things is people say, Craig, what are you doing? I don't know. I haven't got a clue. I'm just here, man. Yeah. Guys in the band. Yeah, guys in the band, when I would get on a roll, would tell me, Craig, shut up and play guitar. And away I go. So, yeah. She'll probably see that, Vicky. Hopefully she brings back coffee. I make pretty good coffee. I usually do. She gets me to make the coffee. She used to make the strong coffee. Now it turns out it's me. So, um, you know, she's just happy. Tank looks good. Wife is happy. You know, nothing's dying. Wife is happy. Things start dying. It's my fault. That's the way it works, right? No, so I had to go return the helmet. The reason I had to take off, and the little after kind of show there. Thank you, hon. Oh, I did make good coffee. Anyway, the reason I had to take off is that helmet. I rented it. It was cheaper to rent it for a few days than it was to buy one. And here we are. Still look like a dork. I actually liked that it was oversized and had an Elmer Fudd quality to it from Kill the Wabbit. Flight of the Valkyrie, as I recall. Yeah, there we go. Oh, speaking of that, I got to remember to do that. Don't let me forget. Don't let me forget. How long I've been in this hobby? 4 years. And I've loved and hated every last second of it. Those milestones mean a lot. And for a while, I thought I was one of those people that was chasing the first 2 or 3. Because it just seemed that I would hit these epic moments and then go right into things like Cyano and oh, here we go. Sorry about that. Hey, Woody. It's Woody's Reef. And where the formulator? There it is. So, and then you realize that's cyano. I just do salt water. I did a freshwater tank. I'll give you a funny story, a funny kind of moment. I bought my son a tank for Christmas. Yeah, that's okay, Tim. I'll send that off while I'm kind of shooting a breeze here. So when I started my first tank, it was just after Christmas in the new year, 2014. We had bought my son one for Christmas, so we bought one. And we did the Garamis and then Cardinal Tetras. And I looked at this tank, and then I wanted to do the sand waterfall thing. And it just it never took off for me. They were nice fish and all, but they just, I don't know, blah, is the way I felt about it. Oh, sorry about that, guys. My blood pressure had spiked, so I'm guessing the yawns are coming from my blood pressure spiking. And I'm fine, by the way. If I was not fine, I would not be here. That's the way you can look at it. So, Tim, that link is sent. No. So, how was CJ's stream? I kind of tried to watch through it and everything and just catch the highlights, and it seemed all right. I don't know what we're going to do when I have 40 or 50 people in here. It's going to be kind of weird. I like Joey a lot. I have met him, I do believe, once. We've passed each other in that store, One Fish, Two Fish, down in Dartmouth. It's about 4 hours away, so once in a while I get down there. Yeah, no, nothing wrong with that. You got to start somewhere, man. And that you went big, 220 gallon and bean animal overflow, and it's all about flow rates, man. Well, you go run you got a pit bull, don't you? I bet you do. Anyway, just saying. Okay, I definitely got to do something here. There's Tim. How you doing, Tim?
All right. Did a little bit of work today.
That's good.
I bailed out on your live stream earlier, but I just had some things I had to get done. So
no, that's quite all right. Yeah.
But
well, that live stream started running a little long, actually. And that's fine. I figured the first one might. So I think what I'm going to do is very short live streams, because I stream all the bloody time. And I was saying was talking to a friend there when I took my little break. And I was saying to the wife, I said, what should I do here? And she goes, you stream so much. Why don't you just do short 30-minute streams, almost like you're an extension of your videos? And I went, oh, that's a good idea. She's bright, my woman. I'll tell you.
Yeah, I think not a lot, but several YouTubers are kind of doing that now, So.
They're addictive, they're simple, and they're lazy.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I have never taken a YouTube video and gone through the editing and done all that. I haven't ventured into that, but I can imagine it's not easy to sit down and edit a video and do a voiceover and all that stuff. So unless live streaming's got to be a lot easier. So.
Oh, Miss Vicky, that's a trade on terms now. An American Staffordshire is still considered a pit bull now. Just saying, catch you out there. I had an old American red nose at one time when I was a teenager. Then I fell in love with Dobermans and Rottweilers. Because I love watching people freak out when they see them, and I'm sitting there playing with them like they're puppies. So, yeah, I think what I've been catching, like that Reefer Madness intro, if you watch it, that effect is kind of like 24. You remember 24 when it was out and it had that kind of flash and thing in it? And I don't have the full version of HitFilm 4 Express, which is what I use. So I can't get the chroma key, right, effect, I have to pay for it, or I got to buy the full version, which is on an ungodly amount of money. I think it is. I think it's like $800, something like that.
Yeah.
So they give you a full suite of options. There's just some stuff that either you pay for it or you buy the full version, right? So I don't feel like paying $30 to have one effect.
Yeah.
Right? There's packs that come out at Christmas and stuff, and I'll start picking them up. That took, the first time I did that and made the reefer intro itself, took me the better part of 7 hours. Right? And everyone's like, well, why did it take so long? Because I didn't understand what I was doing. The learning curve is severe. So I would do something, and then I'd watch it, and it was just, where is it? And then you go back, and it's there in the editing, and it's like, okay. And you do, and then you realize you're playing, it's almost like green screens. So you have to layer these effects and then tell them to blend or tell them to add and all this other. And it was like, it just took a while. Now I can go in and say, I want to do Tony and Tim are in my live stream. I could do that probably in about 20 minutes. And it would take nothing to do, right? You know, add that in, that there with the music at the beginning, boom, done. You know, kick that out, no problem. Yeah. So.
Well, I did get a little work today on my done on my manifold. My plumbing is about 90% complete. I think I've got it just about the way I want it.
Cool.
So
I'm kind of starting to want to do my low boy really bad. It's like I need someone to donate a 50-gallon or 60-gallon low boy tank to me, and a pump, because those are the bloody expensive parts.
Oh, by the way, I did catch the helmet and the horns.
Oh, you finally saw that, did you? It did look very Elmer Fudd-esque, didn't it?
I was surprised that you were keeping a serious face with that on your head. I was like,
oh, it took a lot. You saw that one point where I kind of pointed, went, eh? Right? Yeah. You know.
You're a brave man. That's all I got to say.
Oh, look, man, I have no shame. I played in a rock band. I mean, I've thought back to things I've done on stage and went, oh, God, why did I do that? You know. There's this old joke me and a friend here in St. John have, and it's, if you've ever heard of Gowan, you may or may not have. He's the singer for Styx now.
Oh.
Anyway, he's a Canadian by way of Scotland, and he's hilarious. His video, the guitar player does this totally 80s thing back in 85, of course, right?
Yeah.
And he does this lean and then does this thing on the guitar, and it just is the most hilarious thing now when I look at it. Like, we used to call it, that's what a poser is. Everyone then turned that term poser, P-O-S-E-U-R, into meaning you're a faker, right? You're a poser.
Yeah.
Right? But that's where it first came from, was, you know, these posers. They do this pose and they're not even really playing. And it's just awful to watch, right? So we would do this in front. We'd just look at each other, go, point, and then lean to the side and go with their fingers, kind of a la Bill and Ted.
Yeah.
Right? And nobody got it, but we were laughing our heads off, right?
Yeah, you and I could probably have some serious conversations on music. And, you know, I was 60s was, and it sounds like you were probably 80s.
70s and 80s, yeah.
70s and 80s, and I was 60s and early 70s. And I actually have a little bit of history, and I did some singing back in the 60s with the local rock band. And, of course, they would call that a cover band now. And
still is.
Anyway,
still is. You could call it a top 40 rock band. You can call it what you want. Are you playing someone else's music? Yeah, you're a cover band. Yeah, right?
I don't know why, you know, when they first came out with that term, I go, what is it? Oh, okay. Well, okay, that's what we were doing. But I'm just so disappointed with what's happened in music, you know, anymore. You don't hear, I'm sure there are, but you just don't hear rock and roll anymore. It's not.
You do. You just got to look for it. It's really rare. Have you guys heard of Greta Van Fleet?
I don't know. I don't think so.
I'll tell you. Do me a favor. You can mute yourself. Go look up Greta, like as in Greta, Van Fleet, as in fleet of trucks. Yeah. Highway song, or highway tune. Sorry, Go look it up, listen to it, come back, and then tell me who you think that is. Okay? Trust me on that. If you were a 60s baby, trust me. Yeah. I still want to hear his reaction. Who else we got here? We got Tim and we got Tony.
Me, mate. Me. I'm back.
There we go. Sounds like you're on a computer this time. Or are you on a phone?
I'm still on my phone. I'm at work at the minute, so I've got to be quiet.
You guys, what the hell are you guys doing? It's like, what, almost 4 in the morning there?
Yeah, it's computers, mate.
Oh, yeah, I'm done with that. That's okay. Yeah. Somebody asked me how come I don't go into the hardware side, and I'm like, I did that too. Go away. Yeah. You know, I got so good at it, I could actually sniff RAM. And that's the reason. And the reason I bring that up is my LFS guy in Fredericton can sniff Euphilia and tell you if brown jelly's coming, or if it's got it before it even shows.
No way.
Oh yeah, scares me to death. And like, I'll come back the next week. Where is it? It died. You know, like, wow, right? And I said, don't come to my house, right?
Just don't send him a pair of your pants.
No, exactly, right? And he had a good laugh because I said, well, if you give me something that you think is burnt, I said, you're just guessing. I said, I guarantee I can smell it and I can tell you, right? Because some people, you're just sensitive to things. So I used to be able to look at people's computers. Okay, it's not booting. It's not beeping. Just give me a sec. Pop, pop. Your RAM's burnt. You need new RAM.
Yeah.
Who do you know? I said, well, tell you what. Why don't you take this floppy diskette? Remember, diskettes, right?
Yeah.
Stick that in there and run mem test. And one guy who's came back, I think there was 4,000 errors, right, on an old 128 megabit or megabytes or megabyte stick. That's bad. That's cooked, right? Anyway. You taking off, Chris G? Not a problem, buddy. I'm usually up in the mornings, so you must be over in Britain. Yeah.
Yeah, it's 20 to 4. Eh?
Yeah, no, I understand that. It's the late nighters I get, Vicky and that's I understand that, but yeah, didn't see Haley today. Oh, I know why we didn't see Haley today. It's Easter.
Yeah, now it is.
She's having steak and pie with her fam. Right?
Yeah, that's quite a good accent, actually.
Oh, I get pissy. It's funny. Really I can't do it. I can do phrases, right? And it's really funny that but most of the Brits get a bigger kick out of me doing just cartoonisms. Just dip the toe. No one's got to know. Like, that's what? Right. Nothing, just dip it in the tub. Or whatever it is the case may be, right?
Yeah.
I try not to get too loud. I have a very old couple above me. Like, they're in their, one's 90, and I think the husband is 79. And I looked at her, well, good for you.
Definitely.
Yeah.
But they're upstairs thinking that you're watching blue movies.
Yeah, she's very funny. Yeah, like she just, she thinks the world of me. Are you not working? No. Are you all right? Yes. Well, that could be debated. No, I kind of snapped. I was on the phone with some old guy. I left Xerox and I went to work for a company called Nordia doing Bell, which is a big internet phone, home phone, cell phone supplier over here in Canada. And I had an old guy, and he couldn't watch TV. He just had the screen, the Bell screen. I'm like, okay. And I looked, and in the note says, just tell him to hit input and then move down to HDMI 1. And literally he'd called 27 times in 3 months because he could not remember to hit input and make sure it was back on HDMI.
Is it like the old joke? Did you plug it in?
Yeah. It's that old, like you just say, good night, Cruz. Right, stay loose, y'all. Yeah. Always nice to see Cruz drop in. Give it a like. Just dip the toe. Just dip the toe. Now, if the hot tub ever get out of control, you just put this in the hot tub. Calm the hot tub.
Hey, Craig.
Hey, what's going on, bud? Go ahead. Who's it sound like to you?
It could be like Zeppelinish.
Oh,
Stone.
couldn't it?
Yeah, that was. I. That's. I'm just smiling. I'm just like, here's these young guys. They look
Do you know
awesome.
how old they are?
No, no.
Not one of them is over 22. Three of them. One's 19, one's 20, one's 21. The three of them are brothers up front.
Wow.
That's I mean, yeah. They're a big Zeppelin ripoff, I guess you could say that. But you know what? Zeppelin was a ripoff.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I
That's
said one.
encouraging. I just didn't. I was like I was telling you before. It's just discouraging that I don't hear any. I don't hear, but I'll be honest with you. I just don't listen to popular radio anymore. I just don't, because what I hear all the time is just.
Yeah, no, I got you, man. I feel it. Trust me. I'll tell you what's funny is I realized the other day one of my favorite kind of just rock bands is Collective Soul. Always was, ever since Hints, Allegations, and things left unsaid, as that first record with Shine on it.
Yeah.
And if you go back and look at the date that record came out, it is now 25 years old, I think.
Wow.
And that's a 90s record. I actually got to see them on tour when they were kind of not past their prime, but they were getting there. And they were fantastic. They were one of the best live bands I've ever seen. Now, mind you, I didn't get to see them with the original lead guitar player. It was whoever replaced that guy. I forget his Danny something or other. Yeah. But he did a good job. But he's not him. You know what I mean? I try to tell people, guitar players are not interchangeable. You think we are, right? But it's only if you're like Jason Hook, and you're playing for Mandy Moore. You know what I mean? Like, he's not going to sound like he does in Five Finger Death Punch, right? Another one. There you go. 2 songs. You ready? Write this down. You can check them out later.
All right.
And wow, did I ever forget about this band? Street Heart is what they're called. One word.
Street Heart.
Street Heart. And they did a cover of Under My Thumb.
Oh, wow.
And this is, I think it's from the early 80s or late 70s. And it's, oh my God, man, I forgot how good it was. And the other one would be, oh wow, I just lost it. My brain will come back in a second. Oh, Five Finger Death Punch. Their cover of Bad Company.
Oh, Bad Company.
Trust me, you're going to go, oh, the original sucks. I'm not kidding. You really will. But you got to be a guy like me. You got to like hard rock. Yeah. But it's not metal, but there's just that hint of it there. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, yeah, if you guys want to talk music, remember, this is Fish. We'll talk Fish, and I'll answer any Fish questions or get someone to do it. But if you want to talk music and tap into my UFI, useless effing information, yeah, I'm pretty good. Actually, I'm exceptional at that. So.
Yeah, but the days of the album, are just like,
oh, it's over.
The people, yeah, I mean, they don't get the whole concept of an album, and it's hard they just look at you with blank stares, what are you talking?
Oh yeah, well, my favorite thing is, I don't know if you heard about it, but like Gene Simmons blames fans for the state of music, right?
Yeah.
All I can see is him from Gene Simmons' Family Jewels wearing that red onesie, stomping his feet and going, "It's all your fault. It's all your fault." It's like, listen, Gene, you already made your money, man. You can just go and suck it. Right?
Is it bad that I can imagine Gene Simmons wagging his finger?
Oh yeah, I so can. You know what's really funny about it? Anybody who's here, look up Frontline, the day the music died. Watch that, and it will explain everything to you. In that special alone, you will sit there and go, oh, screw MP3s. That's just an excuse, right? You know what it is. And my brief history of what happened. Does everybody remember when CDs came out, when they became a real thing?
Yeah.
Does everybody remember there was that huge glut of everybody replacing their vinyl or cassette collection with CDs?
Yeah, it's all that CD, wasn't it?
Right. So that inflated the market. Okay, it made it seem more valuable than it was. You got to remember, most record companies were going bankrupt.
Yeah.
Okay, by 1984, And you can go back, you can find that if you want, right? But this special kind of goes into explaining it.
Yeah.
You know, this is in the days when we heard stories about finding the perfect beat, which is true. 120 beats per minute is the perfect amount of beats. My males are picking on my female cat tonight. Everybody's fixed, but they act like they're not, right? And she's just getting bent right out of shape. So if you hear that, don't worry. She's not hurt. She's just getting pissy.
All right.
Night, Vicky. Go in, look right at Mad Dog, and go, just dip the toe, and just watch him try to figure that out. That'll be great. Yeah. But what happened after was all the big companies were bought up. Sony was not a record company. Sony built TVs. We all remember that, right? So, yeah. So they started a company. I'd say that backwards. They bought up Columbia Corporation, which is, you know, Columbia Records, Columbia Pictures. They bought all them up, and then they started putting this stuff out because they saw this huge profit, right, from CDs. Well, what happens when everybody's already replaced everything and music is still basically feckless, for lack of a better term, right? You know, the 80s hair metal bands were dying off, so then grunge happened, right? You know, if you want to put a term on it. So you had your next wave of rock and roll. But if you start looking at it, even though grunge was cool, like I love Soundgarden, I miss Chris Cornell, you know, I like some of these bands, but look at all the bands that came out of that, who sits down and listens to, you know, well, fuck it, Sonic Youth. When's the last time you listened to a Sonic Youth song? You know what I mean? When's the last time you actually sat down and listened to all of Nevermind by Nirvana? You know what I mean? Like, you know, that's, I think, why Soundgarden was so what they were, because their record, you wanted to listen to it all because you were just like, wow, it was interesting. You know what I mean? So by the late 90s, when you had the new metal movement, and I love how new was NU, I just, that was a fucking sign right off the top, right? You know, Fred Durst, if I ever saw him in the street, and I don't care if it's almost been 20 years, I'd still punch him in the face. He was the worst of what music could be, and people don't seem to realize he was an A&R guy for a record company.
Really?
Yep. So it just proves the point that he said, oh, well, I'm brilliant. No, you're not. You got lucky because you guys did a cover of Faith that took off. And then you put out a song called Nookie, which gives the tee-hee factor, right? And then, you know, blah, blah, blah. And, you know, people like Korn is brilliant. Sure, Korn's great. You know, they at least were musicians. Yeah. You know what I mean? But
they're up to date. That's how I'd explain Korn. They're up to date.
They were up to date. But then let's look at who's doing anything that I could say has musicianship involved.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Exactly. I don't, you know, I know I'm going to make, well, I am old, but
well,
I'm going to sound old, but I don't get it. I mean, it's just like they want to call it music, and I'm going, where you get the sound from something generated out of a computer, and okay, if you want to say it's a talent to rhyme and so forth, okay, but don't that's a different category than music.
No, you're right. Okay, think about this. When's the last time you heard a band like Rush? Right? Dream Theater, they say. Great, that's still 20 years ago.
Yeah.
What? Well, they just put but it's still, they're from 20 years ago. Right? Name me a band right now that's out that sounds like Rush. You can't find one.
Yeah.
But do bands want to sound like Rush?
A lot do.
No.
Oh, you're going to sit there and shit on a Canadian classic? Is that what you know? Sorry, Peter Gabriel. You know what I mean? Like,
I live right next to his studio. His studio's like 10 miles down the road from us.
Yeah, I bet you. And don't get me wrong, I like Peter Gabriel. I'm not really a fan of Genesis with Peter Gabriel in it, though.
I'm the opposite way around.
Right? You like it better with him than you do with. And you know what? The prog rockers, that's the way they are. Right?
But first band I ever saw was Marillion.
Marillion.
Yeah.
You know, what's the name of that child? What's the name of that album with the child on the cover?
Oh, now you're telling me.
The Unholy Child. No, what the hell? Anyway, the album sucks shit. but great album cover. You know what I mean? It's like, I said to a buddy, I said, you got to remember, Whitesnake got famous because they had half-naked women riding snakes on the album cover.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Like, I used to like playing Slide It In. Let's think about what's the tone of that song, folks?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, David Coverdale, like, although he did sing probably the greatest Deep Purple song ever, which is Burn. You know what I mean? Like, somebody's like, what are you talking about? I said, oh, God, go look up Whitesnake Live 2002 and listen to the first song, which is Burn. Holy shit.
You said
You know,
Deep
like,
Purple.
that's that one that goes da-na-na-na, like, it's just great riff.
Yeah.
Right? You know, and everyone's like, oh, Smoke on the Water. Yeah. I got tired of listening to kids play it wrong. Right? You know, when I was teaching it, you know, you'd see these kids, well, what about that miss? You can, but that's not how it goes. You know, that was John Lord's part. You know, like, but, you know, and that's just it. I taught, and I had fun teaching, but it was so funny to see out of all these kids I would teach, 1 out of 20 might have talent.
Yeah.
Right? But the other ones could play well enough. And I actually know 4 of the kids I taught, 1 girl, 3 boys that are actually playing in bands now. Yeah. And
See, it's not about talent these days, is it?
no, and you think about it, right? So why aren't the rest playing? Well, I would say it used to be about an 80% rate would be playing in bands.
Yeah.
There's no money in it anymore.
Yeah.
You know? Auto-tune?
Now, you know, I don't know what they're going to listen. I don't know what they're going to call oldies in the future when they're you guys' age. My son was born in '84. His oldies are my 60s, 70s, and 80s music. You know.
To be fair, I'm the same age.
Yeah,
and I think the same.
Yeah, exactly. It's like you got to look at it from a point of view. Like I said, you know, as a musician, and the length of time I did it. You know, I sit back and think, you know, sometimes, do you feel like you wasted your life? Well, no, but thanks for bringing it up. You know, and they just kind of look at you and it's like, you don't understand the odds of getting a record contract. It was better odds to get struck by lightning twice and win the lottery.
Yeah.
Somebody went, no, well, it couldn't have been. It was. A mathematician sat down and worked it out that the odds of you becoming a success, not necessarily a record contract, but becoming a success, were astronomically huge, right? Like, I mean, you guys ever heard the story of Def Leppard with Hysteria?
No.
Right? Okay, so when they did Hysteria, they went into tax exile in Ireland to get away from Britain, right? So they could sink more money into this record. By the time they finished and put the record out, they needed to sell 4 million records just to break even.
Wow.
Okay, that's throwing a lot of weight behind something and praying it's going to work, and it wasn't when they first started it. That record, like that production or release, right? They released Animal. They finally got smart. The first single released over here, I don't know why, but they released Women, which it's a fine song. It's fine, right? But it's not the best song on that record. So then they released Animal, and they started to get a little traction. And it was funny. They were in America touring, and they weren't even doing the big tour yet. They were just trying to get some traction on the record. They went to a strip club. Joe Elliott and Steve Clark, and I think Sav went with them. And the strippers were dancing to Pour Some Sugar on Me. So they went back to their managers and said, you got to get them to release that as the next single, because the next single they were going to release was Gods of War, which, although a great song, isn't that kind of a hit. You know what I mean? That's a record hit. So they finally convinced the record company to release Pour Some Sugar on Me. The following week, they were shipping 400,000 records a week.
Thing is, that's probably classed as one of the most famous songs, isn't it, really?
Oh, Pour Some Sugar on Me? By far, probably the most.
I don't think I could have named another Def Leppard song, to be honest.
No.
You could.
To be fair, to be in a club with that song playing, your tongue's hanging out straight away, isn't it?
Yeah, you're already thinking about strippers.
Yeah.
You really are, right? You know, male or female strippers, depending on your tilt, right?
Yeah.
And somebody said to me, well, what do you mean by that? I said, well, you got to remember, there's only so many Diamond records. And Diamond, that's 15 plus or 10 million plus records sold. Right? So that's 10 platinum albums plus. Right? And they're in that club with that one.
Wow.
Right? And everyone's like, wow, I've never heard from them since. I said, I hate and beg to differ for you. right? But not one of their records hasn't gone platinum since that. Even Slang, which is kind of that one really didn't do much for me. Yeah, that was their grunge album. They even admitted, like, we were just trying something new. It didn't work. Well, whatever.
Hopefully this pendulum swings back some other way. And
I would love to see it, man, but there's so few. So few that I can sit there and go, oh, okay, they're doing something. Even if it's just straight ahead rock, like, everyone's like, oh, well, I hate Nickelback. Why do you hate Nickelback? What, you hate success?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you got to remember, those were 4 boys that looked like they walked off a farm in Alberta. That's what they look like, right? Now, granted, if you want to listen to Nickelback, in my opinion, listen to the first 2 albums. Curb and The State are just awesome. Then they got on with Roadrunner Records, and you can figure out what happened, right? Everything started to sound like How You Remind Me. Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just, it just, like, I go back to the 60s, and there's just something about watching a live band with a lead guitar, maybe a rhythm, bass, drums, and a singer, and just making really good music, and they can do it anywhere,
Yeah.
I mean, and you just don't. And I really shocked my son when he got old enough to start listening to music. And he played a little guitar,
yeah.
But when we put on some Hendrix one time, and I go, now you listen to this, and I said, now you realize there's only 3 musicians on this thing. And he goes, well, because I said that tells you how brilliant Hendrix was. He could just fill up everything with that.
Fill up the space. Same with Stevie Ray Vaughan.
Yeah, exactly, and a couple others too. But that's unfortunate that what happened to Hendrix and what he could have become. Geez, I mean.
Yeah, that's a sin, that one. I wish Eric Clapton had it gone. We could have avoided Tears in Heaven, right? Like, I know that's awful because I know he wrote that song about his son falling out of the building and dying. But
have you heard Clapton talk about, like, when Hendrix was first coming on and went over to Europe and they heard him for the first time? I mean, here's Eric Clapton, is known as one of the best guitarists in the world, talking about he was just in awe of Jimmy.
Yeah, he was talking about packing it in.
Yeah.
Yeah, he said Jeff Beck standing next to him. Jeff Beck, right? And he's looking at him and they're like, wow.
Holy God.
We got to step up our game, boy.
No kidding.
Yeah. Like everyone says, what's the best Hendrix song to listen to? For me, it's always Crosstown Traffic.
Oh, yeah.
I love Crosstown Traffic, right? You want to hear a really good song with really good guitar playing that a 3-piece is doing, no overdubs. Listen to Scuttle Button by Stevie Ray Vaughan. Holy crap. And I watched him do it hungover. He looks like he's just in a coma and is burning. And I'm just like, man, I couldn't do that. And a buddy goes, yeah, you did. Right? He goes, I saw you pretty flaked out and doing stuff that people were just going, wow. Right? And it's like, I was just in a cover band. But you know what I mean? Like, I wrote my own stuff. I have stuff, right? If you listen, you want to hear me play guitar, folks, go look for the video. I think it says Fluval Tank Tours. It's one of the first videos I put out like a couple of years ago, and that's me playing at the beginning.
Okay. Well,
and I should add that's me playing everything.
Maybe we ought to talk about fish here.
Yeah, that's the problem. Hey, look at that. We're already off on a tangent. Let's see how long we've been running, and we're already talking about nothing. 40 minutes.
It's the live chat earlier, isn't it? All over again.
All over again, yeah.
We got so carried away. We did.
Yeah. I don't care. Reefers tend to be Renaissance guys and gals anyway.
What do you do when you're cleaning out your tanks or doing tests? I know what I'm doing. There's music on in the background.
Always.
Put a record on, away we go.
Yeah, I'm smoking. I said that to a buddy of mine. I think that's when I almost take that time to think, because you got to sit down and focus on it, right? So then I set my timers and I do my thing and I just sort of think, and not necessarily even about reefing. I'm thinking about doing the bills or doing this or doing that. And look at that number. Oh, okay, I got to do something about that. You know what I mean? Like it's weird, right? I don't listen to a lot of music anymore. Honestly, I listen to it in the car, but yeah, not like I used to. When I retired, I'm so pissed about my left arm. I got to a point where I'd be playing and I'd be doing something like Moving On Over by George Thorogood.
Yeah.
And because my hand was in the same basic position for the whole song, my middle finger all the way to my elbow would almost like a cramp, and my hand would peel back off the fretboard. It took everything to finish, right? And then it took 5 minutes for me to get my arm to loosen up. And usually I'd be good for the rest of the night, but that was starting to happen more and more. So I sort of went, okay, well, what am I going to do? I'm going to, I'm kind of done. I've done my thing. There's no money in it. It was getting worse and worse. Yeah. And somebody's like, well, what's money got to do with it? Well, I got to pay the rent, son.
Exactly.
I can't play for exposure, and I don't need it, right? And I think that's even hilarious. Let's see. This is New Brunswick. There are 4 clubs. What exposure do I need? Yeah.
There's some good Canadian groups over the years, too. Going back to, let's see. Bachman Turner, but they were off of...
Guess Who?
Guess Who, yeah.
Guess Who, okay.
Yeah, both of those groups I liked a lot. But this is telling you how old I am. So.
I don't like the Guess Who.
No?
No. And I'm not a big fan of Bachman Turner or Overdrive. I'm not a fan of any guy that turns into a Mormon and breaks up a band. You know what I mean? Like,
well, I should put it this way. They were cuts off of...
Freebird. Yeah.
Well, everybody, Bachman Turner, usually everybody... Well, I can't say I don't remember having maybe 1 or 2 albums, but...
You probably had the first one. You probably had the second one. Yeah.
Probably that's
but,
all.
Can I play Freebird? Yeah, I'll say to you what I used to say to the crowd. DJ, spin that wheel. Yeah. I used to do it like Otto. If I leave here tomorrow. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Oh, God.
I am not a fan. No, Freebird is a great song. Actually, any song that lets you solo for 10 minutes is okay in my book. Yeah, you're right, Jeff. Fucking Rush, man. I think Canada made a bigger deal out of the Tragically Hip, but should have been more sad that Rush retired. You know what I mean? Like, they've been playing since, 1973? And almost nonstop. And,
been a long time.
Yeah, you want a really good one. If you watch the video for Tom Sawyer, the studio they're in is Le Studio in Quebec. It's outside Montreal, out near Laval. And it's abandoned, right? When they did Rush Beyond the Lighted Stage, the documentary, Neil Peart was walking around it and laughing. Yeah, that's right there. That's where the drums were. And, they're outside, right? Because it's all shut down. They abandoned it, right? And it's funny. Somebody set it on fire not that long ago.
Wow.
Yeah, some vandals. I would imagine it was teenagers drinking and being stupid. Yeah. But I said to a buddy, that's sad. I said, but remember, it was already abandoned. It was already gone. You know what I mean? It wasn't, what were you going to do? Go up and put candles there for Neil Peart, or Peart? Sorry.
Thing is, Rush retiring, they probably did the right thing. So the way music is now, they probably would have ended up like Steel Panther, trying to cling on to what they had. Do you know what I mean?
Well, Steel Panther's doing that as tongue-in-cheek.
Yeah.
Right? Now, you know what's really funny, guys? I'm a Van Halen fanatic. I have the logo tattooed on me and everything. Not a real fan of how Eddie's been lately. And now the rumor mill's going out that, Dave's done because they realize Dave can't sing. Right? Now, if you watch anything with Dave when the reunion happened, he's all right. But, man, unfortunately showing his age. You look at Sammy Hagar. He's 70 years old. Did you guys know that?
No, I didn't realize that.
Go look at Sammy Hagar now. Anything going on. He's 70 fucking years old, man. And he's still getting up singing I Can't Drive. He can't hit the notes on I Can't Drive 55 anymore. He just can't anymore. Like, he just can't. He even admits it. Like, it's just that part of his voice is not gone. He can do it once, but he can't go tour and do it. You know what I mean? Because your voice just doesn't have enough time to recover, right? So now there's a rumor going around that they're going to get Michael Anthony back in because Wolfgang Van Halen's doing his own thing, so he's not playing bass for them anymore. And they're going to get Sammy, and they're going to go out and do the Van Hagar era, which was their most successful time. Right? And I'm sitting there going, but it's still a bunch of old guys playing rock and roll.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like Eddie's going to be leaping in through the air. It's not going to be the 80s.
It's like watching Madonna.
Yeah. Oh, God.
It is. It is. I'm sorry, but it is.
It is. Do you ever look at Madonna and think they got to walk up with 3-in-1 oil and go next to her joints just to get her to move?
She needs to stop.
You know.
Well, the Stones. What are the Stones? Are like in a couple of them are like 80.
Well,
70, late 70s. Yeah.
78, I think Charlie Watts is.
And they're just about to go out on a world tour again.
Yeah. Although Mick Jagger did say he's retired, they're done.
Yeah, well,
he's done. Yeah, but there's money to be had, Sir Mick. You know,
I'm sorry, but that must have taken a lot for him to retire.
It would be, but you know what's funny is it's got to be that he keeps looking at. We got to go tour. Why? We need that life-altering drug that keeps Keith Richards alive.
And plus, Mick Jagger needs to feed his kids because he's got like 1 million of them.
Yeah, 1 million of them all. You know, that's some alimony and palimony and child support, buddy.
Yeah, but Keith Richards looks like death walking. I mean, geez.
Oh my God, it's just hilarious, right?
Look at his pictures from like 60s and 70s, and look now. You go, is that really?
He looks like a troll.
I know. I'm going.
Actually, do you know what he looks like? Did you ever see Labyrinth?
Yeah.
He looks like Gimli or whatever the hell that character is. Gobble. That's. I swear to God, it's like they modeled that after Keith Richards. You know,
a fat version of Keith Richards.
I think Dennis Leary said it best. Keith Richards said kids should not do drugs. Keith Richards said kids should not. We can't, Keith. You did them all. We got to wait for you to die and smoke your ashes.
He's still smoking. Last time I saw him, he was still.
He's still smoking. Yeah.
You know who looks good? Ringo Starr.
Yeah.
God. Yeah, but he's shot in the head though. He's on a different page.
He's always been shot in the head, man.
He's on a different page, that bloke. Have you seen you must have seen the video when he's talking about his fan mail.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's hilarious.
Well, that's why the Simpsons did their bit on him.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he does answer his fan. I'm like, why would you do that, man? You must get at least thousands. You know what I mean? Like, you can't read them all, Ringo. Jesus, you got to go play at some point and get a paycheck. And then I went, oh, wait, you were in the Beatles. You never have to work again.
Doesn't have to work again.
And what was the other one? What? I forget what it was, but they were making fun of him like, oh, this is like Ringo Starr if he wrote a song, and it shows the Beatles in the studio. And, hey, guys, I wrote a song. And it's like, oh, well, we're going to take that and put that right here on the fridge.
George Harrison, wasn't it?
That's it. Yeah.
There's the other quote about him as well, and I think they're talking to John Lennon or McCartney and saying about Ringo Starr. He's probably the best drummer in the world. And an interviewer is saying to him, Ringo Starr's probably the best drummer in the world, and he's like, he's not even the best drummer in the Beatles.
No. No. You know, I mean, he's fine. There's things he did, believe it or not, if you do look into drumming history, that are still there today. Nobody was doing them before, but we're talking about maybe one technique.
I was going to say, you don't really see him as a drumming maverick, do you?
No. You know,
he was just a constant, I think.
Ringo was right place, right time.
Right place, right time. Yep.
I don't know what was wrong with Pete Best, but I'm like,
he was a dick. He was the bell end.
He was the bell end.
He was the bell end. He was bad. Yeah. From all accounts, when I've read, they were just like, he was trying to sue them while they were big.
Yeah.
Right. And then when they broke up, he was still trying to sue Lennon and McCartney. He tried for, I think it was 25 years. And then there's a rumor that George or Ringo just gave him money and said, go away.
Really?
Yeah. So, and I believe it because you can only, go into court so many, send your lawyers off so many times before you just give the guy money. Yeah. He's not going to give up. Right. That's too bad. You know what I mean? But if you weren't cutting it and it was the studio that killed him, you know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah. George Martin would have kicked him out, or not kicked him out, but would have kicked him into touch.
You got to do something about him. He can't do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's too bad.
Thing is, he's got nothing going on in his life, so he's going to keep going, isn't he?
Well, yeah. It's like, what's his name from Def Leppard there? The first guitar player. Holy crap! I forgot his name. There you go. That's how important he was.
Yeah, Giggsy tried to do it in Oasis as well, didn't he? I don't know if you
Yeah,
know
same
Giggsy.
thing. Yeah, same thing. And it's the best part of this though is Pete Gillis. No, Gillis. Yeah, I think it's Gillis. It was his last name. The original guitar player, so the Let It Go and the original version of Bringing On the Heartbreak and stuff, right? He wrote most of Pyromania. So, Photograph, Foolin', the Rock of Ages, right? He wrote them, right? And they fired him. And he was pissed, right? And the thing is that he got all the royalties off that. That album sold 4 million copies.
Wow.
So he's still getting royalties today. Every time you play Photograph on the radio, folks, that guy gets a paycheck. Right? So he shouldn't be crying too bad. So he still tried to sue them, and he was laughed right out of court. So then he tried to sue in the U.S., and he got laughed out of court. It's like, you get royalties, you're getting your credit. You're done, man. You got fired legally. Get over it, right? He was just drinking too much. And it's funny, his argument was, well, Steve Clark was drinking too much. Yeah, but he's an alcoholic. Right? And I went, well, that would make Pete an alcoholic, wouldn't it? Right? Because he was drinking all the time. But Steve Clark wasn't a bell end. He was. You know what I mean? So they just threw him out of the band. By all accounts of what we know, because it's he said, she said, right?
Yeah.
But no, it's too bad, man. So many great bands. A band is like a marriage. I went through a lot of bands. It wasn't because we couldn't stay together. We couldn't stay together. Or they would, basically I was usually the George Harrison guy standing there going, so we're done then. You know what I mean? So, all right.
Great accent again.
You like that? So we're done then.
You're done then.
Yeah. Are we going to do Stonehenge? No, we're not going to do fucking Stonehenge. Oh my God, that's a great scene, isn't it?
Oh, just a bit.
Yes. If you have not seen Spinal Tap there, chat, go watch Spinal Tap.
It's a must. It is a must.
That scene alone is worth the price of admission.
The thing is, with that film, it was so far ahead of its time for the actual comedy value of it, like the mockumentary type style.
Exactly.
People actually thought it was when it first came out, it was just like a genuine documentary of this band. If they were on the peripherals of the music scene, they were like, "Oh God, this is actually real."
Yeah, exactly. And what made it more real was the fact that those guys did actually play those songs. Right? And so what? I said Christopher Guest, Michael McKean, and Harry Shearer could really play. So Rob Reiner, right? The guy who Marty. There's so many things that are funny about that whole movie, man. But Rob Reiner was hanging out with them, and he found out they could play, and they started. The first song they wrote, and it was a joke, was Big Bottom. The bigger the cushion, the deeper the pushing. That's what I said. I love her each weekday, each velvety cheek day. You know what I mean. And what's the line? Oh, my baby fits me like a flesh tuxedo. I'm gonna sink her with my pink torpedo. And then Big Bot, the whole thing. And he said he couldn't stop laughing, so they just started spitballing the movie together. And that worked out for them all, didn't it?
Just a bit.
Especially for the guy that was known as being, what was his name? Lenny from Laverne and Shirley. Lenny and Squiggy.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was Lenny, Michael McKean, the singer. The main lead guy, technically, right?
Exactly.
But this one goes to 11. Yeah.
Showed up in what's the name of the TV show that shot off of
It'll come to you. Yeah, he's in A Mighty Wind when they make fun of folk bands. And Christopher Guest from Nigel Tufnell, the guitar player from Spinal Tap, he's in it too. Which do people know that Nigel Tufnell, Christopher Guest, is married to Jamie Lee Curtis, and he's also the six-fingered man in The Princess Bride.
Didn't know that.
Yeah, there you go.
The TV show is the offshoot of Breaking Bad with the lawyer Sal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's it called? Just Called Soul or something? Is it just?
No. Yeah.
Sal. Yeah. I hope they come out another season. Yeah, he plays a real absolute jerk in that TV show. But
he'd be pretty good at it. Yeah, he'd be pretty funny at it. Yeah.
I have to remember, when I'm watching that, sometimes I go, and this was Lenny.
That was Lenny, yeah.
And yeah, he's a great actor. He plays an asshole in this TV show, but it's I don't know, it's just amazing.
Isn't he always kind of an asshole, even when he's in a comedy, though? If you think about it, like if you ever saw Airheads, he was the director of the radio station with your fake pony nub. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, you know that kind of thing. So we should get back on fish, though, or reefing in general. Sorry about that, guys. Thanks for bearing with the random chat. But then again, I did say it was Red Hot Reefin, so next we'll break out a yes record and see who's better, Rick Wakefield or Rick Wakeman or Greg Downs. Although it could be argued Greg Downs had the bigger hit with yes, because did you know that the two guys that replaced Rick Wakeman and I think they brought in 2 keyboard players, is what it was, and those were the guys that were the Buggles.
Really?
Yeah. Video Killed the Radio Star. Those guys were the ones in Yes that wrote Owner of a Lonely Heart.
Didn't know that.
Yeah. Well, Trevor Rabin wrote the main riff, right? But they were the ones that helped arrange it and everything. Yeah, it's really wild, man. British bands are even more screwed up than American bands. You know what I mean? Like, you're just looking at like, what's wrong with you guys? And it's like, well, we're British and we can't get along. We're polite, so we just quit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So who do we got? We got Melanie. She's on the West Coast, so that's why she's still here, because it's only 8 o'clock at night where she is. Who else we got in here? We got Ravencaw. All right. Tyler's here. All right. Mike the Reefer. How you folks doing tonight? How you enjoying us just prattling on like old men? Yeah. Next thing I'll be going, in my day, we didn't listen to records. We had to learn how to play. Yeah. We did it with rocks.
Is that one of the granddads from The Simpsons?
No, that's kind of. It's Dana Carvey used to do a character, the grumpy old man. In my day, we didn't have toys, right? And we liked it. God damn it! Yeah,
and we loved it.
Yeah, there was a man who was really funny. He's had a lot of health scares. That's what happened to Dana Carvey, by the way.
He was brilliant in Wayne's World. Both 1 and 2. I mean, that's all I really know him from over here.
Yeah, exactly. But when he does the drum solo, when the guy goes, "You're like amazing. Yeah. Thank you. I like to play."
Swing.
And then ting. Yeah. It's the ting. It really makes it too, right? Or when Wayne's World 2, when Kim Basinger, "Oh, take me, Garth. Where? You don't have a coat and I'm low on gas." You know, like
I used to quote that film word for word. The first Wayne's World, anyway.
Yeah. Now we're on the movies. Look out, folks! It's coming. Let's get silly. It's like I say at Mike stream sometimes. When I'm in there, it's like it's going on. It's one of us has got to play the Sergeant Major from Monty Python. Graham Chapman, when he walks in, all right, it's too silly. Cutting it down, far too silly. Yeah.
It's all good.
He'll attack me with a banana and then he shoots him. This is how to defend yourself when you're attacked with a fruit. No. So I was checking my skimmer out. My skimmer on the S150 is now working. Excuse me. And I'm quite happy. I'm actually dry skimming with a nano skimmer.
Wow.
So hats off to Coral Box for making a cheap skimmer. Because it's cheap. It's only $76 over here for one of them. But it does a pretty good job. And the cup's pretty good size. So it's not like a little tiny, like that Tunzi Comline 9001 with that just impossibly small cup on it. If you guys know what I'm talking about.
Not too up on those skimmers, to be honest.
Yeah. Tunzi's too expensive. You know, everyone asks me, no, it really is, man. Like a Turbell, whatever, you know, like what I have in my tank is like $300.
That's a lot.
But it's DC and it has control. I don't give a crap. This is DC and got controls. I'm going to pay $75 or $80, man. Are you kidding? What? So I can say it's a Tunzi. Yeah. Who cares? You know, as long as it doesn't burn my house down, I'm usually pretty happy.
Yeah, I had a Tunzi ATO for a long time.
Oh, Tunzi, you know what? Let's all just agree. Tunzi does make a great ATO.
Yeah. But I got a pump. I mean, a power head. That I don't. You know, I don't. I probably could have gotten the same thing a lot cheaper from somebody else. You know.
Yeah. It's not blowing your skirt up for what it is.
No. Actually, what I'm doing right now is it's in a brute container that I mix salt water in.
Yeah, there you go. An expensive pump is doing what? Mixing salt water. There you go.
So, and I just put it in there because the old pump that I had in there wore out. And I don't remember what the name of that one was.
Well, I'm going to get Trapper laughing. Do you know what turbells look to me? Like bullocks. Okay, they just look like somebody said, let's make it look like a nut. And then people stick it in their tank and we'll have the last laugh. And they'll pay a lot of money for it. Yeah.
Wow.
And then they made the extension on it, which made it even funnier for me.
Anything phallic shaped.
Yeah, it's phallic. Done. I ain't buying that. You want to put a bell end in your tank, you go right ahead, right?
That's it.
But no, yeah, equipment's a weird game, man. I know O gets all hard for Apex, but
O gets he goes from one thing to another thing. Jesus, he gets some good deals sometimes.
Oh yeah, he was. Yeah, go ahead, Trevor.
I was just going to say exactly what you were going to say. Like he was saying about being really hardcore on the forums and picking up people as soon as they want to have like a fire sale and get rid of everything. He's straight on it.
Yep. Yeah. And that's a smart idea because then you hold it, sell it for roughly what it is actually worth.
Yeah.
And you're rolling that over onto the next fire sale till you get to the point where, hey, I can afford, 4 G5s. Is G5 out yet? G5 is out, right?
No, for Radiant.
No? Yeah, Radiant. No, it's a G4 Pro, right?
G4 Pro, yeah. 700 quid.
Oh, dear God.
I'm just about to get one.
Now,
I'll get one for the next tank anyway.
7-something in the States.
899, I think, here in Canada.
What annoys me is that £80 price for the arm. I don't know how you could justify it.
Yeah, all of a sudden you got to hang it. Oh, if you want to do it on the back of the tank, here's $80 more. Yeah, it's
£80 more for us.
Yeah,
so
yeah, it's $80 here. That one translates.
I think
they're 80 or 110, something like that.
I have to get one from Canada instead then.
I'm looking for another G3 Pro. I got a G3 Pro, but I need one more.
Yeah. To
put on this. I'm going to need 2 to cover this new tank. So.
Yeah, I hear you. I use Mars Aquas. I went cheap. I went 144, and actually I got 2 of mine, 3 for $50 each. A guy was getting out, so getting on a sale. Yes, I did. I got 3 for the price of 1. I did have to do some maintenance and replace the fans and other things, but they work. They do the job, and if you change out some of the LEDs, they don't grow algae so bad. Good deal. It doesn't cost a lot to modify them either.
I got a lot of high-end stuff, and when you hear me talk sometimes, you must think, wow, that guy's really loaded or something. But really what I did was when I'm looking for something, I just camp out on Reef Central,
Same deal. Yeah, go looking for this if somebody's selling out.
And then sooner or later, it'll show up, bing, you got to get on it right away, but,
Yep, and that's the way it is, right? If you're smart and savvy and you go looking, you'll find it. You can save a fortune, right? I almost had 2 XR15s, and it would have only been $200. If I want to buy those, that would have been a lot, right?
Like 300 quid each year for 15.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, and they're about 4, I think here, close to 4 bucks. So
yeah, if you pick them up for $200, that is a good price.
Exactly right.
All day long. But like Facebook's got some good groups now as well, so you don't just have to hang out on the forums. You can subscribe to a few Facebook groups.
You know what the problem is with Facebook though? It goes away so fast.
Yeah.
Right, you're trying to read it and find it, and it's like if you don't look at it right away, mark it or do something to keep yourself on it for notifications. Gone. You'll never find it again. Yeah.
And somebody's had it then, even if you do stumble across it.
Yeah. It's the same thing. Like I was talking about, a guy had a 180-gallon setup with almost everything except the lights, and he was selling it all for $600. And it was like, oh, if I had the space, I would have. You know what I mean? I put it right in the middle of the kitchen, not the setup, just put it in the middle of the kitchen, hold on to it, and sell it for what it's worth.
Yeah.
You know? Oh, yeah. And it wasn't scratched up either. Right? Like he did the water thing, you run the water so you can catch the scratches. Nope, not a thing on it. I'm like, oh, why are you selling it? Oh, I just don't have the time. And I'm sitting there going, more money than brains. Okay. So you got in, you were unsuccessful. 9 times out of 10, this is what I find. They don't have the time to put in to get it back to successful, so they sell it.
Did you ever watch any of Clement Stone's videos?
Clement Stone, no.
Man, that guy, about a year ago, he was about ready to get out when they posted a YouTube video. He said, I'm quitting. I forget what happened. He lost, I think, something happened in the tank. He lost just about everything. And then the next thing I know, he's back, and he picked up on a deal from some guy, and he's showing this video of everything he came back with. He got like a 210-gallon tank. I mean, and then it was like a couple of skimmers, 3 or 4 pumps, sets of lights, and it's just like, he just kept pulling stuff off of the back of his truck, you know? And I'm like, Jesus. And he only paid a couple $100 to this guy to get, and we're talking about dry goods, you know, calcium supplements. And I mean, it just kept going on and on. And if you find Clement Stone, you'll see the tank that he got that day. I think it's 200. And it's like, Jesus. So anyway.
Well, there's people that have good jobs that are still bell end, for lack of a. I'm going to say that all night. Bell end is everyone's a bell end, right? But yeah, you know, you see them and they do this and they spend this insane amount of money because they did enough research planning to know that's the right thing. But this is the same person that can't spread peanut butter on a marshmallow without causing a fucking catastrophe, right? You know, like they just do it and you just see the nuclear explosion the minute they do it. You know, and you're like, what are you doing with a reef tank? Well, I like fish, you know. And all I can think is that chick from The Crow. I like the pretty lights, you know. Like, yeah, okay, you know.
Well, I can't. I'm not a DIYer, you know. So people say, "Why'd you buy that?" I go. If you're gonna tell me I could have made that myself, then you just come over and make it for me.
Oh no, you look right at him. Well, you can fuck right off or make it. You know what I mean? Like, but, yeah, I don't like that attitude
so it's
either.
Just like
right?
now, you know, it's taken me a long time to do this plumbing. Well, I'm sorry, I just can't slap it all together. I gotta picture things in my mind, and sometimes I gotta try 2 or 3 times to get it right. And
I'm one of these awful people. Like when I get someone like that and they want to jump in and they want to do it, I almost wish I could have a camera in front of their face while they're working, and take a dildo and wiggle at their face while I'm going, you know what I mean? Just because, you know, I can't take you seriously, man. Because if I do, I'm going to choke you.
Well,
you know what I mean?
I wish I was a DIY. I wish I had, but I don't have that kind of talent about anything except my work, what I do for a job. You know, I just don't. You know, I could. you don't want me to do. I mean, I'm talking about plumbing on the reef tank, but there's no way I do my own plumbing on my home.
Well, I would, right? Because I'd get a case of the Clevers. You know what I mean? And, you know, I love that one. That's one of my favorite sayings. I look at somebody and say, what happened? Did you get a case of the Clevers? You know what I mean? And then, you know, they're standing there soaked in front of you. And it's like, did you learn anything? You know, like, yeah, it's, you know, you want to link this sector.
Last time I tried to fix a leak under my kitchen sink, I got into a full run outside to shut off the water. The water was spraying out so bad. I come back in the house with the water shut off, and my wife says, "What are you going to do now?" And I said, "I pick up the phone and I said, I'm calling the damn plumber. That's what I'm doing." And I ever
tell you the story about the first time I hooked up my RODI unit?
No.
All right. I shall prostrate myself before you all. So, you know, I kind of showed today, and there's a video that shows what I did, and I ran my lines through the wall, and I literally almost skimmed an electrical wire and everything. It's awesome. So, you know, again, got a case of the Clevers about this, right? So I get it all done, and I hook it up to the tap. I run the water, get it warm, you know, so the temperature's in the right range to work the best, and I'm looking at it, and everything's hooked up, and I turn it on, and my wife's like, "Oh my God, the water's shooting right at the electrical." What? I don't stop the water. No. I go over and look first.
No, she
Of course,
didn't.
the water's just shooting straight at where these wires come. The house is not what you would put up to code today, but when they did the swap over from a boiler to electric heat and everything, they ran these I forget the gauge off the top of my head, but the ones for that, and they come right up there. So it was sealed, thank God. But it was shooting water straight at this where these wires come out of the wall, right? Anyway, I get the water shut off, and I'm like, and I figured it out instantly. I had forgot the hook, and of course, the one that I should have hooked up, the wastewater line. So I'm getting 4 gallons to the whatever's coming out of the other end, right? And I'm like, what the? And I'm soaked. So is my wife. And she just looks at me and like, you are just, well, you know what? You're a bell end, right? You stupid dick, right? And I'm sitting there and it's like, she goes, are you sure it's all right? So yeah, I'm sure it's fine. So of course, I will warn you all, if you've never had an RODI unit, the first time you ever run it, because it's empty, when you turn it on, it is going to go because all the air's getting pushed out of the system. Scares the shit out of my wife because it's just vibrating on the wall, right? Oh yeah. There's nothing of, go ahead.
No, I did do my own RODI. I mean, I just installed it, put it on the wall, and it's in the laundry room, and it worked out really good for me because I just drained it into where my washing machine drains out, and that worked out pretty good. But I can
try
do
that one,
simple
Mr. Williams.
things. If I have time, and I got Lowe's over here, so I just go back. I just end up going about 50 million times to do something simple.
Yeah.
But if I take my time, but then I took it like you're talking about, running those lines with the RODI, like Mello's Mark, he's talking about that one video where he was running these lines all over the place with the RODI.
Yeah, pretty much.
For a second, I started to think about it. I started thinking, yeah, that's what I should. I go, shut up, Kim. You have no idea. I just forget that idea, Besides that, my wife would have no part of that. She'd see me doing that and she'd say, no, I don't think you're not going to do that here,
Yeah, the other thing I've done with water, I know we've all spilled water.
Oh, man.
Of some magnitude, generally, too. My favorite was with the 120, I was vacuuming the sand. And I was trying to do the continuous cycle, run it into the filter sock section.
Yeah.
Right, because I didn't want to have to do a water change, right? Anyway, and I stuffed it in there, and this, that. And what I didn't do was put my clamp on it, just in case. Yeah. So I'm doing it, and I don't hear anything because I'm over top of the tank. There's noise, and the fans are going, and all of a sudden I hear my wife, honey, right? And for like 30 seconds, I was just siphoning the water straight on the floor, right? No bucket, no, just crazy. Anyway, we have this bloody joke that every towel in the house, I think, has been used for soaking up water.
Absolutely.
And at one time, right?
In the club.
Yeah. And that's just, go ahead, dear Trapper.
I was going to say mine was always filling my RODI water. I used to fill it into the office cooler, water coolers you get. I used to have an empty container of that just to make up the fresh ROD.
Yep.
And you set it off and it would go so slowly and you just I'll just leave it, go and sit down, have a cup of tea. Next minute you come in and
and it's water everywhere. Yeah.
Or I'll go out for the night and just say to the wife, it's just running, give it an hour, turn it off. She falls asleep. Next minute we're swimming in the kitchen. But lucky enough, it's all hard floors and stuff, so it's not.
Yeah, I got lucky. I guess lucky and unlucky.
They've done the same thing.
We all have, right? My favorite's anyone who doesn't have an auto shut-off block. So I've got a brute 20-gallon trash can. That's what I pump for my RODI, and to make my salt water, I pump it out of there and make my salt water. And it's hilarious. We had it set up. The water's running into it, and I said I'll go out and shut it off in about an hour, even if we don't, right? And the wife got up like 3 or 4 hours later, and I got good pressure here, so I'm running at a full 90 gallons per day. So if you do the math, that's 3.5 gallons per hour.
Yeah.
Right, I think it is, isn't it? Or it's more than that. I don't remember. It's pretty close. No, I think it's more than that. No, wait a minute. 3. Yeah, no, it's 3.5 gallons per hour, give or take. And it ran for 4. So 12.5 gallons of water pumps, so I'm going to guess somewhere around 10 full gallons of water. Ran over, went right to the corner, ran down the wall, ran across the ceiling downstairs, blew out their electrical.
Oh, shit.
Ran all the way into the basement apartment I'm into now and cracked the ceiling. So that crack's still there. If you look in the video, I show it. Okay. And I'm just like, he. That wasn't me. Right? I don't know what you're talking about. Right. So I immediately bought the float valve and the auto shut off block because I said we can't have that happen.
If I'm filling up any container, anything, I'm so forgetful now. It's just, it's just hideous. But now what I do is I never start water out of the RODI to fill anything without looking at my iPhone and say, "Hey Siri, set timer for 30 minutes."
And go check it. Yeah.
Never start it until I've already set the timer. I never start it.
I take my 5-gallon jug like Trapper does.
Yeah.
Right, and I'll fill that for the house water. Right, so up right off the RO part, so it goes through the sediment, the carbon, then the RO, and I make tap water or drinking water.
Yeah,
and it's funny, that's where all our leaks come from now, right? Yeah. So now what I do is I put that in a 10-gallon, what do you call it? Rubbermaid.
Yeah.
Right, and then I went and bought a 12-gallon one so that I'd have 7 gallons of oops, as I like to call it. And I woke up one time after making that. I was tired. I was in here screwing, farting around, watching a movie or doing something. And I looked at it and went, "Oh, it's still got another hour. I'll just go watch an Archer." Fell asleep. I got up, and all of a sudden my brain went, "I left the water on." And I run out into my kitchen, and I look, and the water's right at where the holes are in the handle. Right there. And I shut it off, and I'm like, the hell am I going to... So I just reached in. I spilled a little water because, of course, displacement, right?
Yeah.
I pull the jug out and throw it on the thing and dry it off, and I'm looking at this water, and all of a sudden I hear splash, and my male cat's just now swimming in this water, making a mess, right? I'm like, "Get out of that, you idiot." And he runs in and jumps on the wife.
Oh.
Right. Wakes her up. "What the hell? Why is the cat wet? Did you leave the fucking water on again?" It's like, no, maybe. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, the thing is, you can't get away with it. Even if you dry it up, like you say, the wife's out, you have a spill, you dry it up. She's like, "Where are the towels gone? Why are the towels all wet?"
Yeah, exactly. Thumbs down. Want to give me your email in the chat, and I'll send you a direct link. It'll work. So I'm going to pull that up. There it is. And
yeah, we woke up. There's nothing better than to have your wife who gets up before you come back to the bedroom and say, "I think we got a problem."
Yeah.
And you go in the kitchen, and it's like a half an inch of water on the kitchen, and a half an inch in the laundry room, and you're going, "Shit."
You understand the catastrophe of a tank break just a little bit. You know what I mean? You just start to go like Tim there. Tim's tank, he had 93 split on him. Yeah. And Dre had a 220 that he filled up, and as it was reaching full, 220-gallon tank, it was just fresh water in it to test it. The whole back split out and dumped on him. 220 gallons of water.
It's gonna be your worst nightmare.
Oh God Almighty! You're just sitting there going, "Yep, that's it. Kill myself. It's over."
The 93, I probably caught maybe 45 gallons. So I can't even imagine that thing.
Yeah, 220 gallons, right? Just poof.
Yeah, man, that's
that's a house record.
For you, if you don't have tile floors, you're just asking.
I didn't ask. I didn't want to know. No, I got enough nightmares. My wife has nightmares about getting coral and it's dry in the bag. That's her favorite. And I'm like, what? I said, "What do you mean by there was no water, but the coral still looked okay?" And I'm like, "I hate to tell you, if there's no water, that coral was not okay, depending on the amount of time. Unless it's a zoanthid, it's probably not going to work out really well. Yeah, damp for euphilia just doesn't work.
No, it doesn't.
Hey, what's going on, American Reefin? Guys, I'm going to hit the loo right quick. So keep chatting. I'll be right back.
Oh, yeah. My saltwater, the mixing tank, I've got a big brute that I can use to get about 15 gallons in there. But I got the automatic shut-off valve like you were talking about,
Yeah.
before. So
I think
that
that's
takes care of that. I'm always saving there because I always forget that. But then it's like, well, it doesn't matter,
I think it's a must. You only have to make these mistakes a few times, and you go,
Yeah.
I need to get something.
Yeah. But I always get into trouble when I'm filling up the small containers or something.
Yeah, that's just because you underestimate it, the timing that it takes.
Yeah. So that's why now it's just like it's just like my rule. I do not turn that water on if I'm filling up a small container unless I've set an alarm or a timer. I just do not.
Makes perfect sense.
Because I know myself. It's like I don't care what I say. Oh, I'll forget. I'll remember. I won't forget. Yeah.
It just takes one thing though, a phone call or somebody at the door or something like that, and you shit out of luck in you straight away.
Yep. But we got enough. We got a big supply. We were talking about towels. Geez. I've got.
Oh yeah.
I don't know how many. We got a big drawer full of nothing but old towels.
Yeah.
They've come in handy a couple times. Hopefully, you don't do that anymore.
It's probably it's one of the most important equipment in the hobby.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. And like you say, it could be worse. You can have a tank split on you and that kind of thing, like you were just talking about.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even know where to start to clean that up.
It's just like I'm sitting here now. I mean, I'm just sitting here. I was in the evening and just watching a little TV, doing a little stuff from work, looking at some paperwork, and it's just like you hear this. It's like the shower just went on on my living room tile floor. I'm going, what the?
Yeah.
All right, I'm back. Hey, Jeff, in case you didn't hear me before, and thumbs down. There's your email. Hold on there. I just got it. Sorry, bud. I did not catch it quick, so I'm going to get it out now. There we go.
Wonder why that does that to me all the time. I can't get on.
Yeah, there's a few of you that it doesn't matter what that link is. Are you using Firefox or something, or are you using Chrome? What's your web browser?
What's the iPhone? Whatever, it's the.
Oh, I've heard no, it's an Apple problem. It uses Safari.
Yeah.
You got to download Chrome.
Safari, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Download Chrome.
Yeah, I use Chrome and I don't have any problems with the links.
Okay, I'll try that then.
And there's Jeff. Jeff, how are you? And Salty Reef, how you doing, boy? We're just being a bunch of silly bell ends, for lack of a better term.
Pretty much.
Just telling all the dumb things we did.
No, I was thinking of another one. How many people, and chat included, have been working in the reef tank and had the fish touch you or something touch you, and you jerk your hand back and realize that was the stupidest thing you could have done?
Yeah.
You just fling water or break a rock and drop a rock or do something and just realize all you had to do was relax for 5 seconds.
Yeah. I had a clown. Yeah. I had a mated pair of clowns, black and white clowns.
Yeah.
I mean, you just don't go near her territory, or she'll just bite the living shit out of you,
Hey, Daniel, I was talking about you the other day. Sorry, but keep going. Yeah.
No, it's just that, but I'd be working in the tank, and you'd forget where you're at in the tank and moving a rock around or something, and it's like out of nowhere. It doesn't hurt, but it just surprises you,
Yeah, or break a coral, or
and you go, damn it, you little.
And yeah, no, we don't say damn it. You know exactly what. Fuck. Right? That's
probably. And you little witch, go get that.
Oh, you guys, there's ones in here. I don't know how many people have seen it. Me put my hand. Here's my favorite. Keep your hands on your tank. What's on video? Craig's hand in the tank playing with his clowns. Fuck. I was laughing.
It was kind of like yours. She was not. You move your hand at her, and she'd back up and then come right back at you.
My favorite was Mage telling me just give it a smack, give it a hit, and I'm sitting there and in front of her showed me whacking this clown with my finger. And it just coming back, man, just full on. Like, yeah. You want to throw down, motherfucker? It's okay, here we go.
Man, you got to whack that thing with a stick.
Oh, I could probably hook that thing and it'd be hanging off the hook going, yeah, when you put me back in there, we're going.
Takes a stick up and starts whacking you.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Clowns are pretty rough.
Hey, what's going on, Mr. William? What's your first name so I can call you that instead? I don't know what the hell William's Paul's problem is, but
You ain't gonna call me by my first name. You can call me Narcosis if you want.
Oh, you're Narcosis. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
No. So it's yeah, a bunch of silly assholes. That's what we are. What's your hobby? Dicking around with fish. Actually, I used to say all the time, my hobby is gluing live animals to rocks and putting dangerous amounts of electricity next to salt water.
Yeah. That's pretty true.
That's the hobby, right? Somebody said, "What do you mean dangerous amounts?" Everything here can fail and kill me. And they're
so you guys are talking about somebody busting open a tank. I forgot the guy's name, but he's got a 700-gallon tank. And,
you're talking about that. I know exactly who you're talking about. Farm Boy Reef.
Yeah. Farm Boy Reef, man. That thing cracked right down the middle.
Right down the middle. Started shooting water straight across his living room. Yeah.
And something that's extremely sad about it was I was looking at some of his old videos, and someone said right in there, "You're only using 3/4 glass. Normally, you're supposed to use 1 1/4 inch. That thing is going to release on you." And exactly what the guy predicted happened 4 months later.
Wow.
Yeah, he didn't have it center brazed, did he?
I
don't remember. It's because Polyp
It doesn't
Lab.
matter. Basically, the glass he used. Sorry to cut you off, but
no.
Basically, the glass he used, the actual glass cracked.
The crack, yeah. It was the wrong thickness.
Oh yeah,
and it was warned. That's what it was. He was warned.
700-gallon glass tank.
A glass tank, yeah. No, I think it's acrylic.
No, glass. It was glass.
Was it glass? It was glass, yeah. And I think he thought 3/4 inch was enough. I don't know. I have to go back and watch it. Anyway, he explains what happened, and he it was my fault. I was the idiot.
I haven't watched videos in a long time. I must have unsubscribed to him or something.
Yeah. Oh, it wrecked his house. It wrecked his living room.
Well, 700. Yeah, I guess it. Yeah.
Well, you got to think he wasn't going to stop it. It was cracked top to bottom, and it was spraying out in like a fan. And his whole family was in the living room when it happened. It was just crack, bang, and it went. Right?
No,
and it never. Yeah. Oh, I don't even want to know.
Yeah.
It's probably your worst nightmare, isn't it? As a hobbyist.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So I had a 140-gallon Oceanic tank. When I bought it, I only bought it for $200. And when I bought it, after I bought it, I noticed that I had a bubble in the seam. And I'm like, oh, this isn't good. I probably shouldn't do anything with it. Well, I turned around, filled it up. That thing lasted for like 4 months. And then one night at about 11 at night, my wife is like, "Hey, what is that water I hear?"
No.
And I'm like, "Oh no!" So like, I jumped up, I ran in there, and I see it just spilling out the back top corner. So basically, like, I did my best. Like, I grabbed all my buckets, I grabbed all my water change buckets.
Yeah.
Basically, just started siphoning it out because it was spilling out, but it wasn't going that quick, So I was siphoning it out, and I pretty much did the same thing you did, man. I used every towel in the house, every blanket in the house.
Yeah.
Try to get as much water as I can, try to save the floor.
Yeah.
But yeah, so when that actually happened, I actually did not lose any coral. I didn't lose any fish. And then I turned around the next day. I bought my 120 Marine Land, that and the stand for $300.
There you go.
Wow.
That's a good price, man. Yeah. Was it brand new?
It was pretty close to brand new.
It was like mine, really close. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I bought that, and then the guy's like, "Hey, I got all my rock dead in the back. Do you want to go grab it?" So I basically
that's me.
I had to go in his backyard and pick up like 200 pounds of live rock, and took that with me too.
Yeah.
200 pounds.
That's a good deal. I'm the two best deals I know of is that's pretty good. Mine was really good. I got the stand you see, the 120, the sump, which was an empty, new, or almost new 40-gallon breeder, and my LFS guy who was sold me this tank did all of the baffle work for me, all of it, even the acrylic top for me putting in my filter socks, everything.
Oh, nice.
And the Super Reef Octopus 2000, right?
Yeah.
$800.
Not bad. Not bad.
And then
Nice.
sold me my lights for $150.
Wow.
So for
Nice.
$950, I kind of walked into it. I already had a pump. Actually, I had lent it. I thought I sold it to the guy with my 60-gallon, but no, I only lent it to him. He never set it up, so he never used it. So I cleaned it, put it on, and it's powerful enough, right? It's an Eheim Eco Compact 2000. So it's good up to 784, and I can't even ramp it up all the way. So I figured it out really quick the other day. I only need a DCP 4000 for that tank.
For
That'll
what do you
do.
got? 120?
120, yeah.
Oh man, I'm running I'm running 10,000.
Yeah.
10,000.
You know why though? I bet you have a bean animal or a Herbie overflow, don't you?
Yeah. I got the Herbie overflows. I got all 4 of them running as overflows.
As overflows, yeah. I only have a Durso.
Oh, I got you.
Right, so I can't.
Yeah. Actually, I think it is a Dorso,
But 2 of them.
I got all 4. I got all 4
running as a siphon. Yeah, that's why you need that. Yeah. See, I don't. I got a standpipe and then a return. Yeah. So I can't pump it up that hard because it just won't handle it, right?
Oh no, because it's only like 800 a pipe.
Something like that. I think it's working out to about 600 gallons per hour turnover.
Yeah.
Right. So that's not bad. You know, it's not like, oh my God, your tank's in danger of. I can turn on enough flow to take care of it. I don't even want to look at my overflow though. I bet you I'd look in there and I'd just hear the psycho music, right? Like, oh wow, that's a lot of algae, right?
Please tell me that you have a heater in your tank.
Oh yeah, no, I do not. No, I run a heater in my sump only. Yeah, my tank runs at 78 degrees. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I got no problems with temp. I want cobalts just to level it off because the Jaegers jump up and down too much.
Yeah.
And they do fail. They're not supposed to. Jaegers are supposed to be pretty indestructible. Well, the electrocution my wife took says otherwise there, buddy. Right? You know?
Well, something that the Neotherms has over those Eheim Jaegers is they do not use any kind of bad metals. They use chemical.
Yep.
Basically, whenever those Eheims bust open, it basically just spills nickel throughout your tank. And nickel is really potent.
Oh, that's a good one to know. Wow. So I already know what I'm going to do. I haven't done it yet, so I'm going to strip my tank. I know what's going to happen. So if you guys don't know what stripping is, you take DI resin, put it into a nylon sock, a woman's nylon.
Yeah.
Put it into a really high flow filter. So I got those Chinese ones with a little black box underneath. I'll run that for like maybe 24 hours at the most 3 days. And I'll pull, you turn your flow up in your tank, just stir it up and you blow your rocks. And that pulls 90% of it back out or more. You just can't run it for longer than that because you'll take everything out of the tank. Yeah. So I warn you, if you do it, just remember it's DI resin. What do we use DI for? To strip everything out of the water that gets missed, right? So just remember, if you do it on your tank, don't do it for longer than, depends on the size of your tank, but I tell everybody never more than a day to 3 days. Yeah, so I got a low flow sump, so I can get away with 3 days. So.
And when are you doing that if you find traces of nickel, did you say?
Any metals, if you do an ICP test,
okay, yeah.
And you got a lot of the metals, like a lot of them, you can use Cooper's Orb. Does the exact same thing. Cooper's Orb is DI, non-color changing DI, so that's why you can recharge it technically. Color changing DI has that extra chemical, so you see it do its thing, right. And it's bound at that point, right? So it's because it's an ion exchange, right? Cooper's Orb does it without being an exchange. So yeah, blah blah blah, science.
Yeah, well, it's to know.
Yeah. As far as my experience goes, I have used the detox stuff That
Yep.
stuff works miracles, and it doesn't harm anything.
No, but it does strip literally everything out too.
All
Yeah.
the metals, yeah.
Yeah, and euphelias don't like it. My LFS guy, the reason he told me that technique, he did his ICP, and he had excessive amounts of titanium and aluminum. So the only way to get that out,
Did he have vanadium?
yeah, he had a little vanadium as well. You're right. Yep.
Yeah, vanadium, it's titanium.
Yeah.
Any aluminium?
And he had aluminum. Aluminium.
Yeah, aluminium.
Yeah. So.
Has anybody bought the BRS tops, the ones that you put together?
No.
Those are
Oh.
aluminum.
Hold on. You're talking about the aluminum top with the net
Yeah.
top, the clear
Yep.
UV. Yeah, I've got those. I built my own.
Yeah. I might be interchanging mine out for like wood sticks or something. I'm not a big fan that they're metal.
They're coated though.
Yeah, they are, but you have to cut them when you cut them.
Yeah.
Like that little part's not coated, but to me, it's like I've already learned my lesson. Like any metal, period, is not good.
Well, I'll give you a cheaper option and a better option because guess what? Saltwater and wood don't mix. So what you do is buy the Krylon plastic paint.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Krylon,
Make sure you sand all your edges. Right. So you know where you put your joints in for the screen.
Yeah.
Sand those down. Make sure there are no burrs, open burrs. Paint them all, and then put your screen back together slowly so you don't scrape the paint away.
Yeah.
And then when you do put the net back in the spline, again, be gentle. And what that'll do after 24 hours, it is non-toxic and it's also salt resistant. So it shouldn't break down.
Yeah. Somebody actually sells plastic ones because the ones at my LFS, they got tops made out of plastics.
You'd have to find it, yeah. But if you could find that, that's a good option too, yeah.
Oh yeah.
The only problem with that, though, is what kind of plastic and what's it going to leach out? Is it BPE safe? Blah, 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 right? Plastic is its own animal.
Oh, yeah, but it's definitely probably better than the metal. And
you'd think so. I would assume.
Technically not in the water, so maybe it won't be that bad.
Yeah, it's only really dealing with creep, right?
Yeah.
For the most part, so. No.
Hey, Greg.
Yo.
I'm going to jump out, man. It's 5
Yeah,
in the
I think
morning here,
it's 5 in the morning there. It's 1 in the morning here. I'm sitting there going, we've run a pretty good run here. Let's see how long we've been up. 2 hours. I think we're good.
Yeah.
So,
cool,
wonderful chat. I hope Tina's okay. I didn't see her come back in. Daniel, it was nice to see you. I hope things are working out well for you. I shall probably be up and running tomorrow, knowing me. So.
Happy days.
All right. Have a good night, guys. Thanks for dropping in, Narcosis.
Whoa. Don't be calling me Narcosis, man. Mr. Williams. Call me Mr. Williams.
All right, Mr. Williams. Sounds good to me. That way, at least I'll remember it, too, actually. Bubba, you have a good night. Angelic Dave, you have one, too. Aldias, thanks for popping in, listening to us ramble on about music and shit. So, have a good night, and I will talk to you all tomorrow. Later,
Cheers,
folks.
Man. Cheers.